Hi, it's Natalie from That Christmas Autism Girl. Welcome back to my channel. So, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now, and that is what's breakups on TV. So, as you can see, I'm back in my tough corner. Very excited about it because I got to hang it back up. So, here's my tough corner. I'm back in it. So, that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's get started. So, I wanted to talk about breakups because it seems to me that on a lot of television shows, they tend to break up couples that seem really happy and take so long to get together and just for them to break up the next season or the next episode. And it's kind of like, well, what's the point of getting them together? We're just going to break them up. And I think the point is they want to create drama by their breakup. But it's like, can't they just be happy as a couple? And you can have them do things, figure out having drama together, but you don't have to break them up to create drama. It's not necessary. But in some cases of breakups, I was actually kind of happy that it happened. So, I mean, what's really the point? Because, on the one hand, it creates drama. That's what they're there for. But on the other hand, sometimes toxic relationships do need to end. So I'm going to talk about a few different relationships and why I think their breakup was good or bad, or just like they're just to create drama. So first we're going to talk about Ricky and Zane from H2O Just Said Water. Now Ricky is the new girl in town, just kind of like the rebellious girl, but she's also very, very sensitive, but she's also very fiery. I love her fiery spirit. And then Zane's a little bad boy, and they eventually fall in love, and they have an on and off again relationship. But in the end, he proves that he loves her ultimately more than he cares about his own ambition. They even start a business together. But that all falls apart in season 3 when he becomes jealous of this new kid in town, Will Benjamin, and he does something. He cheats and causes Will to almost drown. And then eventually this girl kisses him and he does nothing to stop her, and it's the breaking point for Ricky, and she breaks up with him. So it's interesting because you can kind of see where Ricky's coming. I can see where Ricky's coming from. I mean, he was too. But their relationship was so beautiful in the first 2 seasons that you're like, well, why? Just why did this have to happen? I mean, they could have totally written it differently, where they didn't break up and that they stayed broken up. It's not like they had this on and off again relationship, but at the same time, you always knew they were going to get back together because ultimately they loved each other. But like in the 3rd season, they threw all that out the window and decided that they were going to stay broken up. And it's just like, this is pointless. Like, why? And that's one of those breakups where I don't understand. Next, another Ricky, but this time a boy Ricky and Nene from second breakup from High School Musical, the musical, the series. Now, this show is on Disney Plus, and Ricky and Nene broke up the first time when she said she loved him and wanted to say it back, but eventually they got back together when he actually said he loved her. It was really sweet. But then I think the actors broke up and had like this breakup in real life, and of course you know about the Sabrina and Olivia and Joshua scandal. But anyway, so I think they decided that since the actors were broken up, they had to break them up in real life. So the point is, they broke up, and it was very heartbreaking, and the scene was very heartbreaking, and I cried. But they were almost toxic during their second round, because she went off, and then they tried to maintain a long-distance relationship. But then he asked her to come back, and she already was on her way because she wasn't the right fit at the school that she tried to go to. And then she wrote this song about how she felt about him, and she kind of demanded that he be supportive of her. And it was like, well, I can kind of see that, where you're coming from with that, but I can kind of see where he's coming from, because if you write a song about being trapped by somebody, your relationship with somebody, despite it being a metaphor technically, that isn't really, it's not clear that it's about them, but it really is, I would kind of see where he's coming from with that. So I can kind of see both sides, but the breakup was heartbreaking in the end. but it kind of made sense because they were kind of toxic. So it kind of made sense they needed to break up. But ultimately, I think they were breaking up because of the actors and because Ricky and Gina were in game. So whatever. Anyway, moving on. Cleo and Lewis' goodbye. Now, Cleo and Lewis technically do not break up at this point. But they do break up the first time, one point, because he's becoming kind of smothering her, and so she dumps him, and then he starts dating Charlotte, and then that kind of turns into this whole mess, and then they end up getting back together, and then he's given this opportunity to break up into America, study in America, and then they said goodbye. They didn't actually break up, but he was scared that they would, because long-distance relationships tend to not work. So, anyway, I totally cried during that scene, but it was kind of like the actor left the show, and so they had to do that. But it was kind of like they shouldn't have made season 3 in the first place if they had to do that. So yeah. Anyway, so I can kind of see why they did that because of the actor, but then at the same time, it was kind of like, what was the point? You know? Well, they had to write him off the show because the actor was leaving. I get it, but it's just kind of like, why do they have to make a season 3 in the first place? Anyway, so yeah, you all don't get me started on that. Corey and Topanga's 3 breakups. So one of the channels I followed does a whole video on this story, and so I'm not going to go into it that much. But basically, Corey and Topanga break up. Well, their relationship was kind of a roller coaster in a way, and they were toxic and on and off again, but then they ended up marrying, and it was all good. Had 2 kids, but the first time was because they were in a rut and they just didn't really work anymore. And then the second time was because he kissed another girl, Lauren, and then she couldn't take it, but then they got back together. And the third time, her parents were divorcing and she couldn't believe in love anymore, and so she broke up with him again, and then eventually they get married. And it's all good, but you know, it's kind of like, well, I mean, I feel like their breakups were kind of pointless, in my opinion. Kind of like Ricky and Zayn's. Like, they just wanted to create drama. And, like, there are other ways to create drama than having a couple break up. Can't they just be happy? So, anyway, yeah. That's Corey and Topanga. So, next we have Zed and Addison from Disney Zombies. So, as you know, I'm a big fan of Zed and Addison and Disney Zombies. In Zombies 2, and that movie, in Zombies 2, Zed and Addison kind of like have this fight where they're like, well, the werewolves kind of, well, at first they're kind of doing great, but then these anti-monster laws come in town, they can't go to prom anymore. But then these werewolves show up and kind of shake things up. Because things come so easily for the werewolves, Dad is like, this is ridiculous. Zombies had to work so hard to be accepted, and then they don't really want to fit in. And then she's like, they won't be very proud of who they are. I don't feel like I belong anywhere. And so then they sing this song after their fight, and then eventually, you know, she thinks she might be a werewolf, the Great Alpha, and so, which turns out she isn't, spoiler, but she takes when he hides the necklace from her, and she says, I would never go to prom with you, what they did. And then they end up making up in the end, but it was kind of like, why did I have to go through all that emotional turmoil for them just to reconcile? And like, it was great that they reconciled, and I guess they had to do that, but I almost wish they had taken Zombies 2 in a different direction. Don't get me wrong, I love Zombies 2. I love the dances. I love the songs, especially Gotta Find Where I Belong. Is my second favorite Zombies song, and then my third favorite is Flesh and Bone. No, my fourth favorite is Flesh and Bone. The top 3 is Ain't No Doubt About It. Is number 3. Zombies 3. Don't get me wrong, I love Zombies 2 on so many levels. I love the werewolves being introduced. It's kind of cool. It's fun. And then the dances are awesome. And the fact that you need to be proud of who you are is kind of a cool thing. So, I get it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, what was the point? So anyway, okay, so next we have PJ and Skylar's breakup. Now, this is an interesting one for me because I totally cried when they broke up and got back together. But I almost kind of like, I didn't mind this breakup because even though it made me cry and I was really sad that PJ and Skylar broke up because they're one of my favorite couples, as I've talked about before, I think they're like number 5 or 4. I forget which one. 4 maybe. And so I love them to death, but at the same time, it kind of showed their maturity. Like they were saying, even though you'll never find someone as crazy for you as me, I set you free. And she says the same thing to him. And so in the end, and then they end up realizing they still love each other, and so they get back together, and then they stay together. And because she's going to college in Denver, so they can be together. It's really, really sweet. And so I think it shows their maturity. It's one of the only breakups I didn't really mind because it kind of developed them more. It wasn't just there to create drama. It was actually there to develop their characters. So that breakup, I didn't mind it. So next we have Kitty and Ryan's breakup from Alexa and Katie, the Netflix show. I love this show. It's my 4th favorite show, I think. 5th favorite. It's my number 5. And so I love Alexa and Katie. And Katie, I love her. She's one of my favorite live action TV characters. But her relationship with Ryan was just kind of annoying. Like, it was like they liked each other. They go to London together, but then they kind of like just fall apart because like it's like she kind of like loses interest in him, he loses interest in her, and they break up. And so then they're not really together very long, and they kind of people keep forgetting they're together because they don't really feel like a couple anymore. And it's like, well, why would you get them together in the first place if you're just gonna break them up, kind of thing? I don't know. It just kind of bothered me, like they just kind of seemed like a waste of time. That whole couple thing, that made a couple kind of seemed like a waste of time. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm wrong, but I liked her and Aiden, but like I thought they were really cute. But like Kitty and Ryan, not so much. So, all right, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody time. Cody and Bailey. Ugh, don't get me started. I just hated that breakup so much. It was like they didn't trust each other. They spent all this time together. It's like they just did that breakup to create drama. They ended up getting back together, which is great and all, but then it's like they think they cheated on each other. So they think the other cheated on them. So it's like I hated it so much with a passion. That breakup really, but I didn't mean to make that noise. But that breakup was awful. So it was pointless. It didn't do much to the story. It was just there to create drama. It just didn't really develop their characters. It kind of made me dislike them, actually, because they like didn't trust each other, and the way they treated each other after they broke up was just not very nice. Like, they still had feelings for each other. That was the point. But like, why would you break up? Why did you break up? And why did you think the other cheated on you if you really loved and trusted each other? So I don't know. It's your anniversary and you break up. Dumb. So next we have Liv and Holden. No, let me backtrack. Zach and Maya from The Sweet Life on Deck. Okay, Cody and Bailey were on The Sweet Life on Deck, not The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Sorry about that. So Zach and Maya are this couple introducing. Maya is this character introduced in season 4, and she's his first serious girlfriend. He loves her, and he tries his best to be a good boyfriend to her, and she says she really likes him. And then they don't really get together at first, even though they really like each other, because she doesn't trust him because he's a player and he's just trying to win her over. And then in the end, when he goes to great lengths to throw her a great party for her birthday, she accepts him, and it's really, really sweet. I love them. And then she does not want to be in a long-distance relationship and dumps him. And then it makes him very sad, and I want to go to graduation. So it's really sad. I didn't care for that breakup. Like, why? It was pointless. It's kind of the Cody and Bailey breakup. I hated both breakups. So it's just kind of like, what's the point? Liv and Holden. Now, this is an interesting breakup for me because they just kind of... Okay. Holden and Liv took a long time to get together. And so she liked him. But then Andy asked him out first. And then he broke up with Andy on television. And then Liv refused to date him not to hurt Andy. And then so eventually Andy told her to ask him out, not knowing why he broke up with her. And then, so they get together, and then Andy eventually finds out and forgives them, but, you know, she's really upset about it. I don't blame her, you know. And so, yeah, and then in the end, she decides but then he kind of becomes on her back burner, because like everything comes before her. Like, for instance, when Maddie, so then on television she lies and she doesn't have a boyfriend because she doesn't want their relationship to be on TV in the media. She thought it would ruin their relationship. But then when they catch Maddie dating Josh, Liv's co-star, they think that she's Liv, so then they say that Liv's dating Josh. And so then it causes all these problems with Liv Holden, to where they break up because she refuses to tell the truth, because Maddie asked her not to hurt, so she could tell Diggy and not her to find out. And to find out on national television. She does whatever Maddie asked her to. And then that makes Holden upset, and so he breaks up with her. She says, this relationship is my everything. It's just one of your things. Well, you're in high school. Of course it's just going to be one of your things. It's not like you're like, you know, it's all you do. I mean, it's kind of weird. But anyway, what do you expect out of her? I don't know. I just didn't care for that break. I didn't care. I liked Liv and Holden. It was a heartbreaking breakup, but like, I was like, his expectations of her were just kind of weird. Anyway, so next we have a couple more breakups. So then we have Teddy and Spencer. So Teddy and Spencer are this really toxic, trashy relationship, and so I was really happy when they broke up. Because he cheated on her, she took him back, and then they broke up again, and then again, and it's just like, well. Anyway, so let's move on from that, because this is, no. Tom and Star and Marco and Jackie. So Tom and Star are breaking up because he realizes that she still loves Marco, and so he decides that it's best if they break up, and although they're very emotional, they're mature enough, and then he tells Marco to get together with Star. Marco and Jackie are kind of like, she realizes he still loves Star, so then she breaks up with him, and so, yeah, it kind of works out in the end, and I was kind of happy they broke up, because he clearly loves Star. So, of course, I'm a big Star fan, as you are well aware, so, yeah, that's why I was happy that they broke up. Anyway, so that's all wraps up for my breakup video. And in concludatory, some breakups are really bad and annoying and a waste of time. Some are actually showing the maturity of the characters. They're very rare that I actually feel that way about a breakup. Like, Paige and Skylar were kind of like a rarity. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. If you have any questions, comment below or send me an email at the description below. Thanks. Bye.